The wait for Chase Young's return to action just got longer. As it was announced, the star defensive end will start the season on the physically unable to perform list. We try and tackle what it means for the defense going forward. And with one final preseason game to go, we discuss which players will be focused on in Baltimore as the final roster spots are won and lost. Head coach Ron Rivera stops by the studio to give us an update on the offseason progress as he prepares to enter a critical year 3 in D.C. Plus, each year provides a new opportunity for players to make a name for themselves. We find out which members of the Commanders have the best chance to make the leap. And welcome on in, Julie Donaldson with Logan Paulsen and Santana Moss. It is that final preseason game, which was number 4. Now it's number 3 as they swish things around the league. It's a chance for some guys to make a final statement, to be on the 53-man roster or maybe put something on tape somewhere else. A little bit of a different experience for both of you. Santana, your spot was pretty much always secured. How did you approach this game, or your mindset? What were you doing?
I was wondering where I'm going to wear my socks.
Get them hot dogs.
And getting the hot dogs. No, that 4th game, for me when I was playing was one of those situations of where, okay, I want to prepare myself well in practice, but I was always, my preparation was for the week after that week. But I also watched the guys who was on the bubble. I wanted to see those guys go out there and perform well. So, I was right there next to whoever it was in my room, giving them all the encouragement that he can go out there and get the job done.
I like that. How about for you, Logan?
Well, for me, the 4th preseason game when I was playing was the game that everyone forgot. The coaches were kind of on to week 1. They, sometimes they wouldn't even let you watch film in the meeting room because they were prepping their guys for week 1. So you had to get yourself ready. I always kind of enjoyed playing in it because it was just just go play, man. Yeah. No one was watching. It was just you loving the game, and a little different vibe for sure, but really an opportunity to kind of solidify your spot on the team.
And just to add to that, Logan always played well in those games. Yeah. I watched Logan. No, he don't know I watched him a lot.
Somebody is always watching. Yeah. Take note of that. Well, hopefully you'll be watching Saturday as well. Now, one of the players we know that we will not see in action on Saturday is defensive end Chase Young. He was placed on the physically unable to perform list on Tuesday. The former 2nd overall pick will not be eligible to return to action until at least week 5 when Washington hosts the Tennessee Titans. Young is still recovering from an ACL injury he suffered in week 10 of last season against the Tampa Bay Bucks. Here's a look at the other moves Washington made Tuesday to get to the 80-player limit. Joining Chase Young on the PUP list is center Tyler Larson. Washington released former 2019 draft pick wide receiver Kelvin Harmon and backup tackle Rashad Hill, and linebacker Nathan Gary was placed on the reserved/injured list. As well, Sammis Reyes is now free to go out and be able to find a new home potentially for himself as well. So no Chase Young for the first 4 games. What is the reaction to this? As I feel it was kind of expected but not necessarily known, Logan.
Yeah, I think we all kind of understood that something else was going on with the knee, that the rehab might take a little bit longer, and I think the fact that he's starting the season on PUP is totally expected, right? And I think it's just good process by the coaching staff, making sure that he's right, making sure that he's getting healthy. I think that's all important, and then you can reevaluate where that knee's at, in 4 weeks, which is important.
And one of the things that they've said is, look, it's not this season. They want him here for the next decade.
Long haul.
So take your time getting back before you rush into it. But Santana, what does it now mean for the rest of the defensive line and those that are going to be vying for spots to fill in?
Well, we have some capable guys out there, and you watch them all preseason long. These guys went out there and has been doing a phenomenal job since last year. So it just let that guy know that guy or two that now we able to keep because we have a guy like Chase Young on the PUP list. Hey, the door's wide open. Go out there and fend for yourself and get the job done. I think we have capable guys in our room, and we expect these guys to go out there and do a great job.
And those guys have all done a great job.
Right.
Casey Tuil, James Smith-Williams, F.A. Obata, they've all kind of established themselves saying that we are nice rotational depth pieces here. And then I think also like Montez is poised for a big year. So I think that group is ready to hold down the fort without Chase here.
5 defensive ends? That's what they had last year.
Yeah.
Maybe?
Well, interesting. Then who's the 5th guy? I think that's the question. Because those 4 guys have really said we are in control of the depth right now. So who's the 5th guy? Is it James Bradley King or Shaka Toney potentially? Very interesting questions.
What about reaction to some of the other moves that were made? Kelvin Harmon, former 6th-round pick back in 2019, let go as well.
That's kind of a bummer for me. He's just been doing so well in camp. He's been competing from a physical standpoint, but that's just how the cookie crumbles in the NFL, man. You could be playing good football and get cut. Some of the best football I played, I got cut. They brought in Vernon Davis, had an outstanding offseason. wasn't a spot for me here. And so I think that's important for fans to understand. Even though he's doing well and he did an excellent job, there wasn't a roster spot.
But the thing about it, the eye in the sky don't lie. So he put a lot of stuff on tape, and those guys out there that need a receiver, maybe that fourth or fifth receiver, he has a chance to go elsewhere because he put good film here with us.
It's a physical body as well out there, but that's part of it. It's competition. And
also a testament to Michelle and McGowan too. They've done a great job. So again, young guys doing well.
Well, that's what this upcoming game will be about too, is who does kind of round out that wide receiving unit, as well as we know the locked in positions, but as even head coach Ron Rivera will be telling us how guys can still make the roster coming up a little bit later. Well, Saturday, the Commanders will close out the preseason with a short trip up I-95 to face the Baltimore Ravens. They've won an NFL record 22 consecutive preseason games, with most of the starters expected to rest. It provides those players fighting for a roster spot one last time to make a case for the final 53. It also gives the backups the opportunity to go through the weekly game prep as though they were starters.
This is an opportunity for some of these young guys to get a chance to really be part of something, that they're getting prepped for. I mean, the way they're going to approach this, the way that, we're approaching this is a regular game week. Everything we've done in terms of meeting in the morning, practicing in, like we are, and then meeting to review practice tape is everything that we do in the regular season. We'll get them out early, a lot earlier than normal if this was regular camp. And now it's on them. They got to take care of themselves. There'll be extra times to get extra treatment, the extra times to meet with your coach if you want, get some things answered, that type of stuff, because this is a very important game. It really is.
So the final preseason game is the opportunity for those fringe players to be able to make a name for themselves and make the roster, the practice squad, or maybe another team somewhere else. If you're talking about this team, what areas and specific position groups are you looking at, Logan?
Well, I'm looking at a whole bunch of different position groups, but specifically one that sticks out to me is the tight end group. I think that it just became so interesting after that rash of injuries. Who's going to make the team, right? Armani Rogers kind of stuck his claim and said, I am now the guy that's deserving of that fourth tight end spot. They bring in a guy, Kendall Bland, who's played a ton of football for LA. I think everyone remembers his dominant Super Bowl performance. I think he had 6 or 7 catches and kind of helped them win the game. And obviously Curtis Hodges, who's been hurt, does he deserve an opportunity? So again, this is where you kind of get the final pieces of that puzzle hashed out, and maybe a guy who has only been here for 2 days says, I'm the guy who deserves to be here. So again, very compelling stuff from the tight end group.
I think the two groups that stand out to me is the linebacker position and the interior offensive line. I think when you look at the interior offensive line, there's been a lot of musical chairs already, and we're only in the preseason. A lot of guys, like we say, interchanging, being able to play different positions. But you got to have a clean bill of health if we want to be good on the offense, because those guys protect everything that we do, the run game and the passing game. So I'm going to be keeping a close eye on the offensive lineman to see how we go, how we look going forward.
We've already talked a little bit about the receivers, but who have you seen so far that might be the one returning punts that could help their case in that receiver room, Santana?
Right now, to be honest with you, I don't think it's going to be a receiver.
Who's going to be?
I don't want to say it. It might be AG.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be
I know they
AG.
tried him in
I think he has that
kickoffs.
skill set. And look, let's be honest. He's a dynamic player that we have here. And if things pan out the way I think they might pan out, or they might be trending right now, with our young guy, B-Rob getting the nod and being the first guy, it's no question in my mind would I not use him in other places. And I think he's phenomenal. He's a phenomenal ball carrier. So yes, I understand, his little hiccups here and there with holding on to the football, but he was dynamic in returning punts and kickoffs in college. Why not? Can he do it here for us?
And they're just finding a different way to use him on offense, so you can even at times we'll see probably both of them out there on the field, AG and Brian Robinson. It's just which ways do they go and what really plays to their skill sets for their strengths.
We need both of them.
Real quick here, yes or no, does winning matter because the Ravens have won 22 straight preseason games? Yes or no?
Absolutely not.
No?
It don't matter, but I would want us to whoop their behinds.
You would love to be able to break the streak. They're not too far
Please
away.
do.
22 preseason games.
It's phenomenal.
They're hanging their hat on that. Well, make sure to watch Command Center Game Day Live, the official pregame show of the Washington Commanders. We're live on the air starting at 5 p.m. and taking you up to the start of our final preseason game against the Ravens. You can watch on our YouTube channel, Facebook, and Twitter, and you can listen in on Big 100. After the game, do not miss Command Center post-game live for reaction, analysis, and interviews with head coach Ron Rivera and the players. You can also find that on YouTube and on Big 100. Take command of your game days. Now, coming up as we enter our 90th season, we continue to honor those that helped define our franchise, including a special tribute for Hall of Fame quarterback Sonny Jergensen. And with one final preseason game to go, head coach Ron Rivera joins us to discuss how the offense is shaping up and what positions are still up for grabs on this roster.
Quarterback Sonny Jergensen is primed for a big day.
With 255 career touchdown passes, many still regard Jurgensen as the greatest pure passer of all time.
There's been a lot of people who can throw the football, and there's probably some who could probably throw it further. But I haven't seen anyone who could handle a football in the manner that the redhead could.
When you watched him play, you really felt like you were watching an artist as much as you were watching a quarterback. He always threw a perfect spiral. It was like a feather coming out of the sky. It was a beautiful thing on a Sunday afternoon to just go out there and watch this guy throw a football.
Well, the team announced that they will retire the number 9 jersey worn by legendary Washington quarterback Sonny Jergensen during the final game of the upcoming regular season. Jurgensen will become the 4th member of the franchise's 90-year history to have his jersey retired. He spent 11 seasons of his 18-year career with the Burgundy and Gold, where he ranked 2nd in franchise history in completions, passing yards, and passing touchdowns. In addition to his work on the field, Jurgensen spent nearly 40 years as a member of the team's radio booth. Now, Sonny celebrated his 88th birthday on Tuesday and released a statement saying the Washington organization is blessed with one of the best fan bases in football that has always been near and dear to my heart. It's a wonderful team and a city to play for. I was humbled to find out my jersey was being retired. Current quarterback Carson Wentz tweeted out, "Congrats to one of the best to ever wear the Burgundy and Gold. Congratulations, Sonny." Now, as we move over to the current team, head coach Ron Rivera is entering a very critical year 3 here in D.C. as he hopes to lead the team once again back into the playoffs. Now, with the additions of Carson Wentz in the offseason and the drafting of Jahan Dotson, expectations and hopes are pretty high here in the nation's capital. So how is the team progressing as training camp is basically coming to an end? Here's my conversation with the head coach. Coach Rivera, this is now your 3rd off season, and probably the first where you get to have everybody in person, a little bit more normal of what you're used to of life outside of COVID. How so far are things, I guess, going for you?
I think that things have gone well. You know, there's been a lot of pluses, things that we're building on, we're getting better at. You know, this is a group for the most part that really is our group in terms of the types of players, the number of players. It's a young team, it's a young group of guys that are really coming along, developing. You know, there's a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm for those things. And we have who we believe is a guy that can be our quarterback for a while.
That's something I know you really kind of came in here quickly, and this is a team that I always told people it has like your fingerprint on it more than any other year that you've been here. Is that would naturally take a little bit of time. You got a veteran quarterback, which I think you always feel like you wanted as well because there is a lot of youth. How do you feel Carson is in that room, kind of like leading the guys, working with them? Because I look at that offense and it is young and it is exciting.
Yes. Well, when you look at the skill positions, that's where you truly do see the youth. I mean, at running back, you know, the veteran guy being JD. Tight end, the veteran guy being Logan. Wide receiver, the veteran guy being Terry.
Right.
And you sit there and go, wow, but Terry's only going into his 4th season, you know. But that's the veteran guys. Where you really see the anchor, though, is our front. You know, our front 5 is a group of guys we feel very comfortable about and really think that these guys can help protect Carson, give Carson the time he needs to get the ball to those talented young players.
Do you feel like, are there still question marks on that line?
Oh, yeah, there are. I mean, first of all, because of the health. I mean, we've had some nicks. We've had some guys at a couple of different positions that, you know, we haven't got a chance to really see them work with Carson. The tight end position, we have a lot of questions. Obviously, the only one that's been healthy has been our Armani. He's the only one that's been out there.
And he's a quarterback.
Yeah, he was a quarterback.
Tight end.
But the best part about him is he's such an athletic football player that he makes plays. So it's going to be real interesting, I think, when we really start to get everybody back in the next few days. You know, we won't have everybody out on the field on Saturday, But once we get back together the following week, we'll start to get all our guys out there and start prepping as we get ready for the opener.
So as you're dealing with a lot of these nicks and bruises and that line constantly shuffling, guys having to play multiple positions, which you preach a lot of for very valid reasons when you see this is how it goes. I guess where is it in being ready for Jacksonville? Because you've kind of had limited time with them in the preseason against a different opponent.
Exactly, and that's the big concern you have is that, we haven't seen them all together. And what you really want to be able to do is once we get to next week and we know, that group has to work together over and over and over in preparation for Jacksonville.
Defense. What about the first team defense?
I've been very pleased with a lot of things out there, but I really felt that Saturday was a disappointment in terms of our third down. It's been something we've talked about, something we've worked on, and for us to not be as successful as we needed to be, that was disappointing. Why? Because those are all things that we can do better. First and foremost, we as coaches got to make sure that these guys understand the important significance of what that third down is, what the importance and significance of who that quarterback is, and then go from there. Patrick Mahomes is out on the field. There's a certain discipline you have to rush with. I thought the secondary did an excellent job in terms of coverage. You can only ask them to hold their guy, be around their guy for so long, and then things start to break down. And that's really what you saw when you put the tape on. That's it. We dialed up a couple of pressures, and we didn't run them the way we needed to, and because of that, the pressure got there just a step too late. And so you look at those things and you say, that's disappointing first and foremost, but that is correctable.
As you go up into this final preseason game here against the Ravens, what are you looking for? Because your starters aren't going to be out there. And this is where you really, do you have your mind already made up who's going to make the roster, or can it be changed in this game?
It can be changed. We've got a lot of close battles, and most of those battles really are for the depth position. Some guys that'll play special teams for us, but they've also got to be prepared to be able to get on the field and make an impact if they have to play a lot. So as we go through it, tight end is a big position for us. The secondary is another big position for us as far as that's concerned in terms of, who, what, and how are they going to get on the field. And then, as you look through both the fronts, there's a good mix of depth guys that we've got to have, and we've got to make some tough decisions.
You mentioned tight end. How great is it to get Logan Thomas back?
It was exciting. It really has. It's been kind of cool. I go over and watch him when he's doing the work, the intermittent work that he does with the quarterbacks, especially with Carson, and you see that instant connection, which is kind of exciting because I know one of the things that Carson has always done is he's thrown well to the tight ends. Not having Logan, not having John, and not having Cole out there has been a little bit of a step back for our offense. But like I said, Armani has done such a good job. I think he's really helped to keep that development part of it for Carson going for him.
What's the message for the guys as they're knowing what they're going through, getting ready for that as well?
I think the biggest thing is really about trust and responsibility. And one of the things we talk about is, hey, you got to trust in your technique. You've got to, trust in your teammates. You got to trust in the process. And then, be responsible. Take responsibility for yourself getting ready to go. And we've been harping on that all year with these guys.
Looking forward to it.
I am too.
Well, Coach Rivera wants you at the Washington Commanders season opener against the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday, September 11th, 1 p.m. Tickets start at $46 while supplies last. So get your official Ticketmaster verified tickets at commanders.com/tickets. Command the stands. Now, still to come, rookie running back Brian Robinson has had a strong start to his time in Washington, and that's got some national media members excited. We'll explain after this quick commercial break. Each year, the preseason provides teams an opportunity to get new players settled in for their new teams, and also a chance to see which guys have made the most improvements during the offseason. Earlier this week on NFL Network's Good Morning Football, they discussed players they expect to explode onto the scene and make a name for themselves this regular season. And host Jamie Erdhall had an interesting choice.
Are you serious? He waited 5 years. He's a Tuscaloosa native, went to school across the street from the stadium, and he just waited 5 years. And now all of a sudden it's like getting talked about. Could he start over Antonio Gibson? And he could become the guy. Brian Robinson, you are already the man. So I wish you the best in Washington.
We will not argue against you. We love B-Rob getting some national attention as well on Good Morning Football. Now, so far this preseason, the former Alabama running back has looked the part. In 2 games, he's averaging a shade over 4 yards a carry. He was the first player in franchise history to score a touchdown as a Commander in the preseason opener against the Panthers, and he's shown his ability in the pass game, adding 2 receptions for 15 yards. Does this surprise you at all, Santana?
Not at all. I think one of the things that we all do as players is we kind of basically gauge ourselves from what we do in the preseason so it can basically trend over or I guess carry over to the regular season. When you're a rookie and you're going out there and doing some of the things that he's done, you don't expect that from rookies. So he has everyone's eyes wide right now, and I'm big on him. I'm big. I just don't know what is going to happen when it comes to will he get the nod to be the first guy. But I think she hit it there on the head. I think he may have a great season this year if he's the first guy out there or getting the most of the reps.
I think most of the reps is probably more the argument for than so much the first guy up. But it's got to be up to Scott Charter and how he decides to pass the ball around. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think, like Tana said, based on what he's done this offseason, preseason, OTAs, training camp, he's just shown a maturity as a rusher that we haven't had here for a couple of years. And Gibson, while being an explosive player, doesn't have that consistency yet to his game. So I think it's great. I think he's deserving, and I think that's an excellent observation by her.
What name would you say for this team that has the opportunity to kind of stand out this season?
I'm going for William Jackson III. I think he's a guy that I was big on last year. I got on him a couple of times, me and D-Hall both, because we just wanted to see more, big plays from him. Just feeling like, he was one of those guys that we brought over that was going to basically solidify that cornerback position, or at least one side. And he got off to a rough start. But this year, you can always put whatever happened last year behind you. I'm looking for big things this year.
He says he's adjusted more to what's being asked of him. What about for you?
For me, it's Sam Cosmi, and I think that's kind of a no-brainer. I think he's put himself in an excellent position to be successful this year with a fantastic offseason. The athleticism, the physicality are on display all the time. Love that. And he's just maturing as a player every day, which is fantastic.
It's that time of year where you get to do that. Do you have one name real quick for Saturday to stand out?
I'm sticking with the cornerback, Stephen Parker.
Okay.
Stephen Parker. I'm going to go Curtis Hodges. He hasn't played. Hopefully he does play. Want to see him do well. And Jared Patterson is my other guy.
Okay.
We hope you join us on Saturday to see if these names do stand out, but that's going to do it for this Command Center. We appreciate you stopping by.